Ali, 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 yeah. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7.
Islam, Islam, Islam. Moorish America want to rise upon the 7 within the circle of justice, mercy, love, and right, and give all praises to the great God, our Father God Allah, and honors to His holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, El-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again here, there, and everywhere, and therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Seal. We give honors to our Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution, and bylaws. And honors to all of you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything, and I do mean everything, that our Holy Prophet brought to make us a nation. I want to welcome you to another late night library session. And this is a powerful measure. I'm your host instructor, Dr. Shahid Imani Al-Mohadi Shabazz. And my ancient Comedian high name being the same as Dr. Shedowa Minty El Muhajjid Shepsuel. We have a powerful drawing, family, to bring forth before our family. So we most definitely are encouraging everybody to have, you know, they third eye open, you know, because we getting ready to go on a journey. You know, we're gonna make it plain, and we're gonna keep it, you know, simple, so to speak. You know, it's necessary, family, that we get the grand drawing out of this particular demonstration. We want to harp upon this drawing. The hate you gave left infants fatherless, enraged. Powerful. Family, all I can say is our subject matter, you know, it's going to be a grand drawing. You know, we're going to lay the foundation with the Book of Fire. What I want y'all to do, if this your first time being on the channel, be sure to hit that like, share, and subscribe so that our people can get this and we can knock these algorithms down. You know, we want in. In other words, we trying to get this truth to our people. So we got a grand drawing, family. Like I said, y'all already know we gonna get scientific with it tonight. You know, since everybody love what they call scientific literacy. You know, so what I'm gonna do, I got one particular measure I wanna extend, you know, this link to, and as I do this, um, we just look forward for our family to tune in. You know, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, family. Share this link. Share it with the people on all platforms that you are part and partial of. You know, we in this together. So let me do this real quick. Just give me 1 second. And we're going to get started. Okay, I just grabbed my link. So I want to drop this on a few people. I want to close these windows out too, to make sure I ain't got nothing that's obstructing what it is that I'm trying to bring to the manifest. So I'm just trying to get this link and share it to a major platform that I have where I know our people are. So give me 1 second. Y'all do the same thing. We want to make sure this demonstration go live. Okay, so I'm going to drop it on these brothers and sisters here first and foremost. I'm just dropping it in a few inboxes, family. Just a few. I don't want to do too many because they be looking at it as spamming. We want to do it for those who watch us faithfully on other channels. So, okay, I'm going to drop it here. And I'm going to drop one more after this one. And once I drop this one here, we're going to move forward with the subject matter. Okay, there we go. All right. So we ready. We locked and loaded now. We locked and loaded now, family. Okay, let me close that. All right. So yeah, I want to give honors to our family, brother Born Dog, Noble Brian, C-Mac, you know, and whoever else may be coming that ain't got here yet. We finna vibrate the ether. We finna turn it up in here, family. You know, notice our subject title is dealing with Drew Ali's mental slavery in high definition. You know, mental slavery in high definition. You already know when we talk about HD, you know, you can't help but see what's going on. You can't even miss it when we get to talking about HD. You see what I'm saying? But what's even more grand about this special drawing that we have is that we're going to be talking about skin color and race as well, and how they are byproducts of scientific racism. Now, you heard many people make the claim. You heard many people talk about these special measures. You heard me go over a couple of things and show it to you and everything. I done told you and showed you and everything, right? So we're going to go a little deeper tonight, because we got to make sure that our people get this. Because last night, well, the night before last, actually, we covered our particular drawing that was dealing with post-traumatic slave syndrome. And that post-traumatic slave syndrome, we have identified as the culprit, you know, that has caused our people to be in so much opposition to each other. We have diagnosed the sickness and the illness, and all of us here are doctors of divinity, family, you know, because we went through what they going through, you see. And so we have the proper knowledge in order to bring them out of that special state. But let me go ahead and lay this foundation first with the Book of Fire. I'm going to share my screen and we finna go in. I just hit entire screen. That way everything is here. All right, so we sharing. We up here. Let me go over here. Let me get to the page. Want to make sure we're on the right page. Because we're picking up basically what we have left off at. You know, we've been on a journey, Moors. With this special demonstration here, we done went through the Willie Lynch doctrine and everything. And I know our family, every time we go through these particular chapters, we getting greater understanding. So here we are right here. You know, Drew Ali's mental slavery in high definition. Noble Drew Ali said, I have come to save you from the mental slavery that you have now. The state of mental slavery ranks high amongst the great misunderstood statements taught by the Holy Prophet. To this very day, nearly 100 years after his passing, only a few of his Moorish American nationals understood what he meant by mental slavery. Proof of this lies within the Moorish Americans' reluctant quest for freedom and national independence. Typically, the majority of those who have reclaimed their free national name have changed their names, but not the actions of their soul, mind. In fact, many self-aware Moorish Americans are trying to be better citizens of the USA. The irony here is this is the same oppressor who knocked them in the head so hard until they remained silly NBCs for 7 decades after Noble Drew Ali taught they were actually a clean and pure nation. The catastrophic damages to their heads, height of their wisdom, rendered by Jubellum Sedinmau, sea Freemasonry, and terrorizing theories of Willie Lynch have been grossly underestimated or not sincerely contemplated. Either way, the consequences and aftermath of these psychic surgeries produced the world's first Negroes, black and colored people. The fabricated NBC is entombed as the utmost human destruction in all the world of Western Freemasonry. The mind transplants performed on West African nationals produced the only man-made monsters detached from the human family of nations. I want y'all to remember that. Man-made monsters. That is not that the great God Allah made us as man-made monsters. That Negro, you know, that animal with the 4 legs, so to speak, of being a 4-legged animal. It's not the Most High that did that. He made us upright, independent, and fearless. He made us the crown of creation. But we're going to see, you know, about this special monster that was made. It states, the NBC remains a global trophy to this day, surreptitiously showcased as Europe's first wonder of the world. Appearing as human, yet is not a free national, right? A free national being is an epitaph on befitting, the psychic of a Negro. He has no mind of his own. One of the most comprehensive ways to examine mental slavery is to view it as the foremost results of Europeans' express plan to denationalize the West African Moorish nationals once they were doomed for slavery in the Americas. This criminal plan of dehumanization would take decades to perfect before legally renaming all persons the ex post facto labels of Negroes, blacks, and colored people. Officially, as an act of the United States Congress, mental slavery began in 1868. This origin took place 3 years after slavery was lawfully abolished. The United States Congress has been the new owner and slave master of the NBC since 1868. It was also the year 1865 Moorish Americans were free to become a nation of people, bearing one free national name. But no one told them the truth. Mental slavery is contained to the psyche of the former slaves, their descendants, and others whom is known as 14th Amendment citizens. At the risk of sounding redundant, it is of the utmost importance for the reader and my kindred to realize the psychiatric bedlam the NBC have so well adapted as a beggar people. It's humongous. It says a humongous stone. It say which seals them in their tomb of sub-level existence. Oh man, it's slave names they carry. It says this is to say simply the Negro, Black, and colored Afro-Americans are exclusively a people locked into a psychic disorder. This does not mean the whole. This does not mean the whole lot of them is crazy. Their fettered thought pattern has been bound outside the human family of nations. The elevator which they ride has been called NBC shortly after birth, but they do not see it legally marked. This elevator does not go above the concourse level to the floors of nations. As the label on the outside of the product describes the contents within, so does the identification describe the mentality of its owner. Black African American people made in the USA have been mentally inflated to believe that they are equal to all other nations, but cannot understand why they do not have their own land, flag, money, or history. They are proud to claim the interchangeable names of NBC, but do not realize the self-destructive potencies each slave name contains. The tragedy of proclaiming these names is it keeps these special people locked into the realm of self-destruction. They perpetually sustain the alien bottom of Western societies. The NBC are not national classifications. Their range does not matter, whether they are welfare recipients to laborers to highly trained professional European imitators, or sealed off the grand masters of the Boule Society. They are all the same 14th Amendment. They are all in the same 14th Amendment coffin with no true escape plan to freedom. Unbeknownst to the carriers, their slave names alone contains powerful, infectious, addictive psychological viruses. This stage of mental slavery allows the victim to dumb down to the lesser level of social acceptance. The traumatic syndrome is spread from generation to generation and from their ex post facto state certificate of live birth to their death certificate by their slave names. Got another measure right here. And after this one right here, we're going to go deep into our drawing. Listen, the chairman was he was in tune. It states computer drive versus Negro mind. The computer was calculated and patterned to function analogous, it says, to the human mind. Both are designed to attain, process, retain information. Another similarity shows the human mind does not have a delete system. When the Elohim created man, he was made incapable of forgetting what he remembers. Man cannot forget. A computer in parallel cannot truly delete what has been recorded. For those PC users who think they have deleted unwanted information, they need only insert a retrievable disk, and voila, just hope your hard drive or HD is large enough to hold the existing retrieved information. The size of a computer's hard drive determines the total capacity of information for it to process and retain. Obviously, the larger HD, the hard drive, the greater its power for programming. Processing speeds and memory abilities are both contingent upon the overall dimension of the HD, its nature of the human soul to seek truth. The soul uses reason and experience to seek the truth, even to the ends of the universe. But the mind of the Negro has been formed by evil men. They fashioned this human hard drive minus its natural state of freedom. The openness, natural capacity of a man-made mind of the MBC has been reduced to that of a denationalized and deprogrammed slave. Drew Ali described this as finite mind cannot comprehend things that are infinite. This psychological containment is similar to comparing the capacity of a 10 gigabyte HD in the personal computer to that of today's average 80 to 200 gigabyte hard drive. The psychic of the MBC by design has always been limited to the capacity of a slave. When comparing a slave to a free man, only one has limitations. The Negro's small HD is just too limited to process the complexities of love, unity, freedom, nationhood, genealogy, sovereignty, and initial responsibilities to govern what it creates. This is why the MBC can never be educated, only trained to enhance the prosperity of the free national peoples. A mentally enslaved people designed with a slave's HD, it says, have an altered mentality that cannot process information beyond their negrousness, blackness, and coloredness. It says, through the corporate United States of America, 14th Amendment, all persons, commercial properties born have been state certified live at birth into a life of perpetual slavery under the assumable jurisdiction of the said USA. This means, among the other high criminal activities at the behest of the hosting federal government, the state wherein all Moorish neonates are born or naturalized has placed their seals certifying the newborn into mental slavery. This clandestine 50-state operation is legally imposed upon all Moorish Americans shortly after the great God blew the holy breath of life into their human soul. At this point, the small MBC hard drive of mental slavery has been placed into the mind of the child. Thus, he or she will physically grow from infant, adult to elder, from the cradle to the grave, and shall never will, think, reason, remember, or understand beyond the slave mentality of a Negro. See Willie Lynch. It should be remembered that the mind of all MBC are slave minds by design. All things evolve from thought and thought activity. Yet if one cannot think, one cannot materialize it. Negroes, blacks, and colored people are official slave names given to slaves by slave holders. The principles derived from free national names, Chinese, Arabian, Moroccan, German, cannot be found upon the HD of slave names. The making of the so-called MBC people is by intent and not by accident. It does not matter what information has been placed on the fullest capacity of a black hard drive. It can only be processed and retained from the totality of its prime black constitution. Remember, readers, it is in the nature of the mind to become what it thinks. From birth, the MBC has been convinced through state certification wherein they were born They are in fact NBC slaves. Chattel slaves are humans befallen by lesser gods to a level of substandard, sub-existence. After generations of breeding amongst themselves, slaves only enhance their fallen state with each generation. In short, slaves beget slaves. Negroes beget Negroes. Blacks beget blacks. Soon, they are allowed to have a subculture of their own and learn to be complacent with their own diet, music, language, and styles, but will still be slaves. This is why renters don't think like homeowners. Children don't think like parents. Laborers don't think like employers. Servants don't think like masters. And slaves cannot think like one family bearing one free national name. In each case, the status and jurisdiction would not be in order. Point here is the mind of a slave at its maximum functionality is still limited to that of a slave. With only the restrained hard drive of a Negro, it does not matter where in the realms of political, religious, or social order they are programmed. They cannot escape the perception of their predestined mind, which Drew Ali surmised as mental slavery. These are but few restraints hidden behind the meanings of NBC slave names. This is why the NBC is always rebuked, scorned, and abused when trying to break the citizenship barriers of segregation, discrimination, and apartheid. It is not a part of the constitution of their psyche, hard drive, to understand how the free national people think, because NBC has never known freedom. It is an impossibility to process freedom from a slave's hard drive. Between the years of 1929 and 2006, there were several hundred thousands of Moorish Americans fully aware there's a knowledgeable difference between knowing they are not NBC and proclaiming their nationality. However, they all suffered from one general problem. None could understand why, right? Once proclaiming their free national name after being accepted in various organizations, the Moorish Americans were still not a clean and pure nation of people. The answer is plain before their faces. Drew Ali ordered all Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love. Love causes one to seek the harmonies of life, those things that breed justice, mercy, love, and right. A slave hard drive seeks hatred, little differences, and things that harm. When Drew Ali instructed his people to love, he simply meant for them to change their hard drive. Leave all old business in your old name and do all new business in your new name. Placing affairs or a turban upon a Negro hard drive while spitting I am El Bay Moorish American would never produce an upright, independent, and fearless nation of people. Fearless and independent nation of people, right? It says, from this level of no love, the Moorish cannot seek free national standards and principles, because these things are completely incomprehensible. To be governed by small hard drive mindsets, sovereignty, autonomy, national flag, and the heritage which yield one free national name per nation remain unbeknownst to their existence. Even from his grave, Brother Carter G. Woodson L. is right. When a man controls your mind, he does not have to worry about your actions. Powerful. I'm going to go to this one right here, just for a bonus. Have you lost your mind? And I don't really have to go into a whole lot of commentary on this because, the chairman did great. Ain't no need in reinventing the wheel. But it says, have you lost your mind? I cannot begin to tell you how many times I heard this as a child. Have you lost your mind? Nevertheless, the mind consists of one's thinking, willing, reason, understanding, and the doorway to these is remembrance. Drew Ali called these tools the actions of the soul. but they are not its essence. These tools were given to man, spirit man, so that he could function on the plane of soul, where things are made of thought. The mind rests securely between divinity and matter, or spirit and flesh. It draws strength from the one that cannot die and direct the course of the other which will pass away. But forgetfulness is one of man's greatest enemies. If your retention is not founded with truth, you have lost the key to the knowledge of your higher and lower selves. Mental slavery makes the mind uncivilized and untamed, like a wild stallion. A person must capture and subdue their own mind, control it, and tame it to their purpose. It then can be fortified with holy instructions to meet and conquer the foes of human nature upon the plane of soul, where mental slavery is bred, and upon the sea of the walking bones. If you do not have control of your mind, you have simply lost your mind, and something or someone else has rule over it in place of you. Like Maya, the chimera nature of mental slavery could cause the most conscious person to underestimate its malignant powers of self-destruction. Mental slavery is a mighty cancerous internal foe to fight. It stands defiantly between the illusionist mentality of the NBC and the reality of being a pure and clean nation. This is similar to how the ego is the only thing which stands between man being himself, God. The only true slavery which exists among the Moorish and many of their African brethren has been institutionalized in their minds since slavery. Mental slavery is by far more spurious and deceptive than the manifestation of its physical counterpart. When the human mind is enslaved, man is no longer conscious of the gnosis of the alt and of the naught of falsehood and truth. Moorish Holy Quran, chapter 7, ayat 20. There, he's been removed from the concept of goodness. I like to say godness, a God oneness. Right? It says the powers of his creative fate. It says of the divine ability to use the simple actions of his soul, thinking, understanding, reasoning, and remembering, or willing in remembrance. Right? All these have been harnessed and circumscribed to that of the lesser God. See Appendix Moorish Holy Quran, chapter 38, ayat 3. Mental slavery is the virtual inactivity of one's God right of divine autonomy. This is the true meaning of freedom to a God man. An extended period of unconscious activity will cause the mental heart to become dirty with sleep. And with an indescribable fight for its freedom, it will literally shut down or go to sleep. The will to choose becomes so stagnated because of its delicate state, the mind will go into a coma as a last line of defense against the total loss into an abyss of thoughtless thoughts, or the perpetual realm of why. Today, now entering into the Aquarian age with the 21st century, the world sees 6 million or 60 million Negroes, blacks and colored, in the land of the free and the home of the slave, and thinks how, or acts how, right? Meanwhile, that 60 million look up from the Northwest, shallow grave, at other nationalities of the world and ask themselves, who am I? Who will save us? Where's mine? Like theirs, what is going on? When I will get to heaven, or when will I get to heaven? Why me? Why us? Why? When Noble Drew Ali alerted the Moors to mental slavery, it's often described as being unconscious, especially a cut above blacks who are Islamically, culturally, politically, Afrocentrically aware. However, the restraints of mental slavery fasten much deeper than these seeable bands of society. People can readily recognize the pains resulting from physical abuse, yet there is no power in the flesh and bones to reason and pains inflicted from an enslaved mind. All pains must be mentally interpreted as such before it can be accepted as pain. Then comes the ouch, the damns. Oh Lord God, Jesus, help me. That hurts. It says in martial arts, sacred schools, and paramilitary training, millions are taught every day about mind over matter and how to separate the severity from the agony of the physical pain. But when the heart and mind are hurting from impurities and unnatural insufficiencies of knowledge, how can we distinguish love from hatred, truth from falsehood, self-realization from Maya, joy from misery, faith from foolishness, or heaven from hell? Mental slavery is what has kept the Moorish outside of the character of a nation. They have learned to imitate and forge the face of every nation and pale-skinned people on the planet. They can act like French, Mexican, superheroes, sex opposites, and a host of Negroes, black folks, and African eccentrics. Yet these mimicries, it says, while flattery and funny to some observers, produce nothing on the credit side of a people. So, I mean, we can go into this demonstration and we'll go further after we deal with, these matters at hand, family. But we can see what mental slavery is. We can see exactly what mental slavery is. The chairman said it right here. Mental slavery is existence with no love. Existence with no love. So this is why we suffer as we do. This is why we in opposition, to each other as we are. Because our people are still suffering from mental slavery, family. Our people are suffering from mental slavery. Now, I'm going to show you something here, because we was talking about, the skin color and race being byproducts, of scientific racism. All of this takes place and have, a measure as to why we demonstrate the way that we do, the reason we act the way we do. So let's go into a scientific analysis on this special drawing, family. Let me close this here. So, okay. I want to make sure I ain't got nothing that's going to obstruct what it is I'm demonstrating. Now, this is coming from a scientific journal. And you see a lot of people like to go into this particular journal right here, to deal with a lot of information they have in here. You'll be surprised, in here. They even talk about Prophet Muhammad in the scientific journal, in the Quran, but that's a whole nother measure. We'll cover that one day. But anyway, this is actually an article coming from the American Journal of Physical Anthropology. And we want to get into this skin color and race. We want to really get into it. We want to deep dive into this so our people understand where these things come from. Because we keep telling them the European is the ones who came up with this concept of skin color and, assigned it to a particular people that they call the race. Like I keep telling our family, even if you want to look at yourself and use the description and say, I'm black, that still don't explain what your nationality is. Now, I'm going to keep harping upon that. You can say I'm black all you want to. I'm black and I'm proud. You can black power. You can say it all you want to, but there's no such thing as a black nationality. And we don't say that to be mean. We're just telling you that because that's the truth. And this is the problem. Our people have been confusing, ethnicity. They have been confusing race, and they have been confusing nationality. Most of our people have no idea, as to the real definition, for those particular categories. But let's go into this. We ain't gonna waste no more time. Listen to this and watch the names that come up. And this starts abstract. It says skin color is the primary physical criterion by which people have been classified into groups in the Western scientific tradition. From the earliest classifications of Linnaeus, that's Carl Linnaeus, one of them Darwinian freaks, skin color, right? Skin color labels were not neutral descriptors, but connotated meanings that influence the perception of the described groups. In this article, the history of the use of skin color is reviewed to show how the imprint of history in connection with a single trait influenced subsequent thinking about human diversity. Skin color was the keystone trait to which other physical, behavioral, and cultural characteristics were linked. So notice they're telling you by you being classified, as a particular color, they have already determined what your behavior would be. This is putting your behavior in a certain category. So your grade of your behavior is attached to your color. In other words, black people act this way. They behave that way. This is what the skin color really deal with, family. And this is what makes it scientific racism and cultural characteristics that one is linked to. When people look at you, they look at a culture, a subculture, as our chairman called it a few minutes ago, that has been created right here in America, made in America, and the people who made the culture was made in America. It says, to most naturalists and philosophers of the European Enlightenment, skin color was influenced by the external environment and expressed it says, an inner state of being. It was both the effect and the cause. So in other words, they looked at you and they understood that the effect of whatever it is you expressed, it was a result of you being born so-called black. So you gonna act that way because you black. You act crazy. You got so much self-hatred. You're lazy, and all this stuff that they done put out here. This stigma. This stigmatizing that they would demonstrate. So it says it was both the effect and the cause. Early investigations of skin color and human diversity focus on understanding the central polarity between white Europeans and non-white others. Here we go. With most attention devoted to explaining the origin and meaning of the blackness of Africans. Consistently, negative associations with black and darkness influenced philosophers David Hume and Immanuel Kant to consider Africans as less than fully human. There you go. That's that monster we was talking about earlier. Less than fully human and lacking in personal agency. So they already determined by race, this is the culture that come with you, this behavior that come with you. They're looking at you as subhuman. So anyway, it says Hume and Kant's views on skin color, the integrity of separate races, and the lower status of Africans provided support to diverse political, economic, and religious constituencies in Europe and the Americas interested in maintaining the transatlantic slave trade and upholding chattel slavery. The mental constructs and stereotypes of color-based races remain more strongly in some places than others. After the abolition of the slave trade of slavery, the concept of color-based hierarchies of people arranged from the superior light-colored people to the inferior dark-colored people. Right? The dark-colored one. Y'all seen this in the African Fact Book. We said the same thing the other night. Hardened during the late 17th century and have been reinforced, it says, by diverse forces ever since. These ideas manifest themselves as racism, colorism, and in the development of implicit bias. Current knowledge of the evolution of skin color and of the historical development of color-based race concepts should inform all levels of formal and informal education, awareness of the influence of color memes and race identitation, pardon self. It says in general on human behavior and the conduct of science is important. So let us go further into this. You know, you got these keywords being used here: climate, colorism, human classification, implicit bias, othering, skin pigmentation, taxonomy. Man, watch this. Introduction. The association of skin color and race is something that most people take for granted, to the extent that the partitioning of humanity into groups according to skin color is commonly understood as natural. The history of the establishment of races and the role that skin color played in this process warrants distilling and retelling, because a new generation of scholars can benefit from an updated understanding of how the race concept came to be applied to people and how color-based name races arose. So you need to know where this thing came from. You see? If you don't know where it came from, you ain't gonna know how to go back where you supposed to go, where you came from. Let's put it that way. It says, while the role played by skin color in the formation of race concepts has been long recognized and is often mentioned in the introductory courses, the extent to which current thought and research remain influenced by color-based race concepts is rarely appreciated. A detailed chronological unfolding of the evidence for the creation of color-based race is presented here because knowing who said what and when has direct bearing on the persistence of color-based race concepts as organizing principles of European and colonial societies and science in the past, continuing to the present day. That skin color and race has been a recurring theme of monographs and edited volumes of, well, for more than a half a century. Curran, Franklin, Goethe, Mead in 1968 is giving all these different people. Montego, 1964, Wheeler, 2000, attests to the durability and tenacity of race thinking and of a named races in human affairs. The reinforcement and continued use of race and labeled races in many countries by political, social, by medical, it says constituency leads continual credibility to these phenomena and further justifies their exploration and explanation. The function of this article is to do just that. Now watch this. It says skin color as a signifier. Differences between people that are classified as racial differences are usually considered to be derived inherently from the body. Mikulski, 2012. The selection of particular physical attributes as signifiers of human difference, however, is a social historical process. Omni and Winnet, 1994. Through history up to the present, othering has not always involved physical traits. Some of the earliest historical examples of othering we know of come from antiquity, when sometimes trenchant racial differences were created on the basis of dress, language, a typical occupation. Mikulski, 2012. In the realm of physical traits, skin color has been one of the most widely used because it is visible. Colors themselves are value neutral, but they gain meaning from our experiences and associations with them. As Bastide memorably put it, colors are not important themselves, but as bearers of a message. Bastide, 1968. It states, in the history of the use of skin color in human classification, we see it change from an indicator of geographic origin and environment to a criterion of cultural and behavioral difference, and a standard for legitimizing role expectations. Decoder, 1992. Through acculturation, skin colors became public markers of supposedly real social, cultural, and genetic differences and carry deep-seated cognitive associations that have manifold ramifications for expected behaviors and reactions. Eberhardt, 2005. Eberhardt, ETL, 2004. Eberhardt and Fisk, it says 1998, and Gutierrez, 2001. The importance of this fact is not only for our students. Scientists are not immune from such influences. When the cognition of racial differences is suggested, the recognition of races follows. It says Bourdieu, 2000. Practical taxonomies, pardon self. It says are established that are products of objective evaluation. It says subjective judgment, iteratively reinforced by experience. Bourdieu, again, 2000. These categories became durable parts of the scientist's frame of reference. In this article, I discussed the description of the human skin color diversity and its application, it says, to human classification in Western contexts. Attitudes towards skin colors and other physical features arose independently in China and India, resulting in distinct constructs of human groups. DeBarra et al., 1958, Decoder, 1992, Jablonski in 2012, B. It says the intersections between Western and non-Western systems of perception and classification, especially in the recent decades, are fascinating and relevant to many aspects of modern life, but I will not discuss them here. Europeans know how to run something all the way down into the dirt, so to speak, instead of getting to the point, but I want y'all to get what they're saying and see what's being said before we get to it as well. So all is well. I want to make sure you understand this. It says early classifications of people were by color. Early scientific classifications of human beings used skin color as the cardinal characteristics distinguishing people. The first of these classifications was created by Carl Linnaeus in 1707 and 1778 and published in the first edition of the Systema Naturae. This is 1735 Linnaeus. It says in that work, Carl Linnaeus placed people into four groups: Homo europaeus, Albesians, Homo americanus, Rubesians, and then we had Homo asiatic, Fuscus, and Homo africanus, nigger. They would say Niger, but we already know what they're saying. It says, in this earliest form of taxonomy, humans are divided into four groups according to the skin color and geography. This was before he introduced what would become the now standard binomial nomenclature and classification of people into named subspecies Homo sapiens. Marx, 2007. By the 10th edition, the Systema Naturae, it says in 1758, Linnaeus retained the primary color differentiation of the four designated subspecies, and in each description provided more detail about physical traits, along with descriptions of mental characteristics. Modes of dress, habits, Linnaeus, 1758, figure 1. He also added at that time a fifth variety, Homo sapiens monstruosus. It says a catch-all collection of mostly fanciful anatomical oddities with which Linnaeus had a lurid fascination. Broberg in 1983. What is noteworthy in Linnaeus' arrangement of the temperaments and associated skin colors is that it reflected his interpretation of the humoral theory of Hippocrates, Aristotle, and Galen. It says in which particular elements, air, water, fire, and earth were associated with specific climates, geographies, and humors, blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. Svensson in 2015, according to this theory, it says climate and geography produce predominant humors in the body that influence the development of good or bad character and the color of the skin. Here we go. So basically, you, by virtue of being called a black man, they automatically determine your character, whether it's good or bad, and you already know what they consider. You know, just by you being so-called black, you curse with the curse of Ham. Linnaeus, it says juxtaposition of an individual human subspecies with specific skin colors and temperaments, Americanus with red and choleric, phlegmatic, had a lasting impact on how subsequent naturalists and philosophers describe human physical diversity and how they consider skin color as correlated with specific attributes of character. So again, they equated your skin color with character. See, this is what I'm talking about. So when you run around here talking about you black and that ain't even no nationality, them people looking at you as subhuman. They judging your character by that. That's why when you put it on, you know, a application, you know, you have some problems in a lot of cases. But anyway, Linnaeus' racial categories also have continued to influence the ideological assumptions that people today have with race in ways that Linnaeus himself could not have predicted. Eberhard and Fiske in 1998. Society and psychological processes legitimize and perpetuate racial classifications and promote the reification, it says, of race as a concept. Eberhard and Fiske in 1998. Again, you see them up here getting their little categories. You know, all this stuff they done come up with. You know, a bunch of nonsense, if you ask me. But it says questions linger over interpretation of the details in the classification of humans presented in Linnaeus' 10th edition. One concerns the order and designation of subspecies by A, B, and Y, and it actually looked like he quoted some Greek or something. It says, and whether this represents a rank hierarchy. Linnaeus was not explicit on this point, but it would be surprising if Linnaeus had not accepted the prevailing Enlightenment view of a linear scala naturae, in which all aspects of the world were linearly arranged in a series of steps running from God at the top down through the various entities of the world to the inorganic. Brace, 2005, page 28. Clearly, Linnaeus ascribed some significance to the order in which groups were listed, because in the 10th edition, his classification reflects an inversion of the first and second positions as compared with the first edition, the elevation of the Native Americans to first position and head of the Europeans by Linnaeus appears to have been influenced by the positive views held by one of Linnaeus' disciples, Peter Combe, who had been greatly impressed by Native Americans during a visit to North America in 1750. Svensson in 2005. A second question concerns the change in his description of skin color Asians from the darker brown, fuscus. It says to the yellow, ocello, luridus. It has been suggested that this change denoted Linnaeus' alignment of the yellow bile humor, to which was commonly perceived as the skin color, or East Asians, and the lightening of the group elevated their status. Kodner and Scott, 2015. Another issue highlighted by Linnaeus' classification is the simplification, it says, of human diversity. Types, it says, through designation of only 4 color subspecies that were not a representative of diversity. It says, existing within the large 4 geographical regions he designated. Like many naturalists of his day, Linnaeus did not venture out of Western Europe and had little first-hand experience with people from other places. He mostly received information about the appearance and habits of people outside of Europe from his students, from Swedish and Dutch mercantilists. It says, and from the written diaries and accounts of explorers and travelers. So we got a man that has defined the way we deal with race, and he ain't never traveled around the world. All this is accounts that he received from somebody, and that's stuck. That's crazy. The reason for his choosing to describe some groups rather than others, for instance, East versus South, or Southeast Asians, was somewhat arbitrary. It had more to do with patterns of trade prevailing in Sweden and the Netherlands during Linnaeus' lifetime, that with knowledge about distinctive appearance of people, Cora Scott, 2015, the arbitrariness of groups chosen from the name designation is one of the hallmarks of Enlightenment classifications of human. CEG Table 1 and 1 Molnar in 2005, Table in Barbagianni. It says the identity of groups and the nature of designation, races, varieties, etc. were often contingent on the philosophical predilections and geographic and economic circumstances of the describers rather than with the variation present among human groups in the world. It's crazy how these people get up here, and try to use all this King's English, right, to basically tell you that these people were racist. This is their way of trying to explain their way around the history. That way it's sugar-coated, so to speak. That's what they're doing. The European is masters of sugarcoat. And he got this thing here full of sugar. So it says the different classifications of humankind created by 18th century naturalists have been compiled and critiqued in other works. Blankert, 1993, Ezzy in 2001, Green in 1954, Marx in 2007, Sussman in 2014. My interest here is highlighting those treatments that focus on the nature and significance of differences in skin color. Of these, one of the most influential was that of George Louis Leclerc, Comte Buffon, de Buffon. Now we see where the buffoon come from, huh? Buffon's interest in the effects of climate and geography on human physiognomy, it says in anatomy, compelled him to engage in detailed and long-term studies of human diversity, collecting accounts of human appearance and customs from the accounts of travelers, explorers, traders, and fellow naturalists. Buffon concluded that from every circumstance we may therefore obtain a proof that mankind are not composed of species essentially different from each other, and that on the contrary there was originally but one individual species of men, which after being multiplied and diffused over the whole surface of the earth underwent divers changes from the influence in the climate, from the difference of food and the mode of living, from the epidemical disemptors, it says, as also from the intermixture and varied infinitum of individuals more or less resembling each other. So they go in and saying everybody came from one particular people right here, right? But it says, in contrast to Linnaeus, Buffon was interested in the process. Sussman, 2014, what we now refer to as adaptation. Buffon's three major groups or races were distinguished by color, with each group containing multiple varieties who share similar skin colors. The colors of the skin in turn reflected the circumstances under which people live. Here it go again. Between 40 and 50 degrees latitude, he wrote, we behold a human form in its greatest perfection, and there we ought to form our ideas of the real and natural color of man. Buffon 1853, page 134. Buffoons, white or Caucasian race, was described as having skin white, usually approaching to white. Buffoon 1853, page 138, contained three branches: Armenian, Indian, German, Pelasgic, Scythian, and Tartarian, and two varieties, Malay and Oceanic. His yellow or Mongolian race was distinguished as having complexion calmly olive. It says, and composed of 5 branches: Manchu, Cynic, Hyperborean, Esquimaux, American, Mongol Pelican, Pelican, pardon self, Caroline. Caroline. Anyway, it says his black or melanin race was composed of people who are black or blackish. Buffoon and he contained 7 branches: Ethiopian, Caffrey, Hottentot, Popon. Even pardon me, do you have any great Popon? Tasmanian, Alforus, Edimini, and Alforus Australian. And it says Buffoon's ideal skin color was neither very light nor very dark, but reflected primarily the effects of equitable climate, excessive heat, a cold, and life predominantly spent outdoors or mostly indoors, produced deviations from Buffoon's ideal. Violent heat caused people to have skin that was black, while more temperate climates produced lighter shades. Buffoon in 1853, page 133, 34, regardless of race, it says life in towns conducted to lighter skin because their people enjoyed life, it says, that was more comfortable and agreeable, where they are provided with every expedient for defending themselves from the injuries of the weather. Buffoon, 1853, page 134. These conclusions are superficially similar to those of Hippocrates and Aristotle with respect to the influence of the extremes of heat and cold. But the details of Buffoon color-based groups reflect a more competitive knowledge of skin color diversity worldwide, and the recognition that common physical forces, primarily heat, cold, and dryness, cause skin to be dark and lighter within given races. These observations presage important insights about the convergent evolution of skin color by natural selection revealed in recent decades. It says, of the several Enlightenment thinkers who included skin color in their considerations of human physical diversity, Immanuel Kant warrants consideration here because of his interpretations of the meaning of skin color and for his pointed use of the word race explicitly. Hierarchical arrangement of human races. Jablonski and Kant considered that all people derived from a stem which different races originated, then perpetuated themselves in different regions, according to the conditions of the climate and soil. Throughout his life, Kant was keenly interested in the circumstance that caused people to be different because of these reflected on their inherent talent and their capacity to develop civilization. His views on the origin and nature of races changed over the years, but his belief in the connection between skin color and character remained firm. Skin color was evidence of unchangeable moral quality. So your skin color to Kant represented your moral quality. And thus ultimately free will. Sussman in work spanning from 1775 to 1778, Kant described 4 races: the race of the whites, the Negro race, the Hunnic, the Mongolian, the Kalmuk race, including Americans, the Hindu, a Hindustani race, Bernasconi, 2001, 2002, 19, easy, and 1995. It says 2001, to a great extent that Buffon can't develop the rigorous and strict scientific concept of race as being a class distinction between animals of one and the same line and descent stamp, which is unfailingly transmitted by inheritance. Kant conceived of the original human genus carrying the seeds of all four races. Under the influence of environmental conditions, one of those seeds will actualize, and there could be neither a reversion to the original stem nor change to the other race. Races were thus fixed and immutable. The conditions that conduce to the development of the highest talents and most elevated expressions of moral behavior and civilization prevailed in Europe between 31st and the 52nd parallels of latitude. It says, where away from the extremes of hot and cold, people were happiest and equally well prepared for transplant elsewhere. Here, people of stem genus, white brunette appearance, contain all of humanity's potential, talent, and beauty. Members of the stem genus who developed under the equitable conditions in Central and Northern Europe became the race of the whites and represented the apex of human condition. Other races were products of various kinds of degeneration. See what I'm talking about? Everybody else represents degeneration except the European. It says, from the challenges of their local environment and conditions with dry heat, it says, having the effect of depleting character and potential to the greatest extent. So this lets you know they know how to create an environment, to make you turn in opposition to yourself. They know how to create an environment. All this go back to eugenics, what they call negative eugenics and positive eugenics. It says, Kant advert that local circumstances produce characteristic skin colors. In his Physici Geography, Kant stated that all babies were born white and they turn color within a few weeks, taking on their characteristic black, red, yellow color as a result of the action of the environment. Skin color was the marker of race, evidence of difference in character. Can you hear this foolishness? These people said that you started out white, then you turned black. That's crazy. This is insane. Explaining blackness. Now watch this. Skin color was necessary differentiator of type of races of humans and European Eurocentric race concepts of the 18th century. It was the keystone trait that defined races, and all other attributes included racial complexes. It says whether physical, mental, cultural, or psychological, depending on skin color. So basically, they saying that your skin color had to do with your mind state. I don't know, it sounds like mental slavery to me. But anyway, it says, although the diverse classifications of enlightenment differed in the number of names, groups, and humans that were designated, they shared the essential binary division of humanity into light-colored Europeans and everybody else, or everyone else. This is a white and non-white. European naturalists and philosophers were avid readers of the accounts of explorers and traders and of sometimes apocryphal travelers' tales, including a compilation known as The Travels of Sir John Mandeville, circulated between 1357 and 1371. Price, 1997, the diaries of Portuguese and Italian explorers were particularly influential. Code, 1972, the net effect was of this large body of travel literature was standardized the attitudes of Europeans toward the non-West by the 10th century. Code, 1972. The seemingly objective information about people living in distant lands contained in these compilations was heavily weighed by preconceptions and explicit value judgments of appearance. When Europeans encountered people primarily on the west coast of Africa with extremely dark skin, they were startled by blackness and sought to understand it through the haze of emotional disturbance. By late medieval time, blackness conjured a picture of evil or something inherently defective, undesirable, or mysterious, contrasted with whiteness or lightness, which was associated with goodness, desirability, and honesty. Dark skin reflectively elicited suspicion, distrust, pejorative associations of negative behaviors, including cannibalism and devilishness, immediate associations of inferiority. The color-based classifications of Linnaeus and Buffon and Kant demonstrated an inarticulate subscription to a system of thought which assumed that what was different, especially that which is black, was or embodied evil, inferiority, and moral negation of white, light, and goodness. So, these scholars that all these cats be trying to run behind, talking about scientific literacy, same one that was huddled up in the circle with Darwinism, they was all together in this scientific racism, this so-called Hermetic hypothesis they come up with. Man, it just goes on in here. I want y'all to go and read this here, because I ain't going to read this whole thing here, but I'm going to touch on some more measures in here, briefly. Because they got a couple of areas in here where they were speaking of. Okay, that's the one with whiteness justified. The presence of population. The one drop rule, they talk about that in here. Darwin's origin of the species. Racial classifications. They go into all of that. These designations that was given. This is important that our people know this. Racial classifications of population group descriptions, along with race labels, continue to be used by many governments in official contexts, including the U.S., South Africa, Brazil, and elsewhere. Petrocelli, 2015 revision to the standards of classification of federal data on race and ethnicity. All of these classifications says recognition of shortcomings of racial classifications have resulted in the elimination or reduction in their use by some governments. Not here in the United States. They still calling you a black man. So they going into all this right here, different words that they chose. And you can see the Europeans has always came up with different words to try to make this stuff sound like it was intelligent. Now, skin color without race. Interest in the causes of difference in skin color between people have existed for centuries, preceded the development of formal classifications of people according to color. The association between strong sunlight and dark skin existed in antiquity and became more formalized over the centuries, during which the climatic theory of skin color developed in a tandem with humoral theory of medicine. Interest in understanding the scientific basis of skin color were driven by a desire to know the agents and structures responsible for color in the skin, especially those that are called black skin, and interest in understanding processes that cause skin to be darker or lighter. Of the many 17th and 18th century scientists who undertook such studies, Samuel Stanhope Smith warrants attention because of his interest in understanding the physical and physiological process that created skin color. Like many of his predecessors and contemporaries, Smith believed that black bile was responsible for the blackness of skin. Man. But where he differed from others was in his recognition that the differences in intensity of the sun affected the expression of black bile in the skin. It says, further and more precisely, he noted that the gradations of skin color were associated with gradations in the intensity of the sun and latitude. He observed that progressions in colors were more noticeable in countries like China and span many degrees of latitude, where people have lived for thousands of years. Race-free studies of evolution of human skin color diversity and relativity new. It says the history of these studies have been reviewed recently in treatments of different lengths and would not be repeated here. Among the most important developments in the recent decades has been the integration itself of an anatomical, including paleontological. It says paleontological, pardon self, and physiological and climatological. It says in genetic evidence in the elucidation of the likely sequence of events in the evolution of skin color in the course of recent human dispersals. The intensity and seasonality of ultraviolet radiation is now understood to be the primary determinant of skin color variation throughout the peoples of the world. Discovery of the large numbers and diverse modes of action in skin color genres has been gratified, surprising with studies in convergent evolution of similar skin colors under similar solar conditions being among the most important. Norton 2008, Norton ETL 2007, 2016, Quillian et 2019. These studies and others have also demonstrated that skin color is generally not associated with other traits that have been used to characterize and classify human races. These findings lead to the conclusion that human skin color is not associated with other real or imagined racial traits. So for those who like to use, the skin color as, trying to identify, this is all made up. This is a class, of, we'll say a systematic chart that was put together. And most of the time they looking at you like you the lowest on the totem pole, basically. You know what I mean? So there's a whole bunch of stuff in here. When you go in here and look and see that these people, dealing with this scientific racism, all they're doing is trying to, get more technical with the terminology. But they telling you, what black meant to them, what you look like to them. And they gave you the name black. Even though our people don't like to accept that, Carl Linnaeus and your boy John Blumenbeck now. And people fighting like, they done fighting like that. We ain't gonna say like they lost their mind. We gonna say they done lost their mind. So they fighting, to hold on to these titles. And it don't make no sense. And then they'll go and try to quote our brother Sheikh Anta Diop, who came up with what was called a black hypothesis. And they going off the black hypotheses, that was demonstrated because it's one of our brothers that went out there and did scholarship. We honor Sheikh Anta Diop. But we want to know what a hypothesis is. Look at this. Black hypothesis, a supposition or proposed explanation made on the basis of limited evidence as a starting point for further investigation. So if he was basically establishing this black hypothesis as a supposition, as a proposed explanation from his standpoint on the basis of limited evidence as a starting point for further investigation, that means we would have to be the people that come through later, and take this thing to a whole nother degree of unfoldment. We have to stop thinking because our particular brothers and scholars wrote certain things and they demonstrated certain things. Oh, that's the end all be all, shut the door. We don't want to hear no more. No. We got minds just like they had mine. We got the ability to reason, to think, to will, and remember just like they did. They put their pants on just like we put our pants on. See, look at this here, hypothesis. So that let's substitute the word black hypothesis with all these words. Black theory, black theorem, black thesis, black conjecture, black supposition, black speculation, black postulation, black postulate, black proposition, black premise, black surmise, black assumption. I mean, we can go on and on. This is all dealing with just his concept, his idea, his opinion, his view, and his belief. So what our brother Sheikh Antajiab was sharing with us was trying to attack, that Hermetic hypothesis. And that's why he used certain terminology, but he most definitely knew the difference between, what we call identify classifications and nationality. So our people are caught up in being what somebody else called them, and they holding on to that. And then they lying, talking about the ancestors say they were black. When the word black, we keep telling them, didn't even exist until recent. I'm talking about the word, when you go and you try to trace that word back beyond the English language, you ain't gonna find it. So we can say that people have said that the ancestors said that this particular place, used the term black. But you can't go up there and say that they did that definitively, because we already know, again, the English language didn't exist during that time. So you have to really get your words right. At least tell the people, this is the English language. So this is an attempt to translate what has been said concerning the ancestors, concerning the language. Let the people know what's going on. Stop shamming the people. Telling them the ancestors hear the word black, they wouldn't even know what that word meant. They'll be looking at you like you crazy. They know what they meant when they said Kemet. So call them Kemet. Stop playing. So this is a brief measure, but I wanted to bring this forth to show you, from an authentic source of their science, they letting you know where this stuff come from. And they eating it up. So I'm gonna stop sharing right now. Let me see what my family at. So yeah, what we gonna do, we gonna go ahead and drop this link in here, because I want to see what our family got to say if anybody come on. If not, we'll shut this demonstration down. But I'm gonna drop my link in here. We waiting on our family. We really got to talk about this here. We want to talk about this mental slavery and high definition. And the mental slavery is leading our people to be running around out here talking about they identify with these different classifications. But if you ask them, what's your nationality? They don't know. They don't know what their nationality is. They'll say, I'm a United States citizen. That ain't your nationality. That's what somebody say you was. Everybody got a national name except you. But you got one, you just don't know it. You won't claim it. Why? Why are you holding on? At least the name Mar or Mari was originated by the natives. Everybody else had their own definition that they gave to the Moors later and called us by many different other things. But at least they named their own culture. And we inherited the greatness of that. And our people still want to buck. They still want to go in opposition. That's crazy. Make it make sense, people. Yeah, I see our brother up there talking about me, Noble Drew Ali, and Tupac is of the 3 7s. Islam, brother Caleb. I tell you one thing about Pac. The last outlaw that he recruited, Young Noble, he named Young Noble after Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And Young Noble said that himself on an interview on Vlad TV. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So basically, yeah, he just didn't take the full name Noble Drew Ali. He just took the Noble, Young Noble. But yeah, think about it. Pac named all of those who was in the outlaws, after dictators, people that was hated by the West. but he named the seventh outlaw and the last one after Prophet Noble Drew Ali. So that lets you know what Tupac head was. You know, when he was compiling his last album, The 7 Day Theory. You know, I got some information what Pop was talking about. He would love to go back to the time when we was Moors. So Pop was definitely studying the teaching, you know, of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. You know, but that was the greatest name that he gave. That was the greatest name that he gave, family. Noble Drew Ali. So that lets you know what he was. He was thinking about some nationality and some divine creed. Because out of all the men that he named, them brothers after, the prophet was the one that had the solution. Big facts. Okay, we see how people ain't really trying to check in. You know, so it's all good, all good. Okay, we got the brother Chad coming in here. There you go. What's going on, brother?
Hey, peace and blessings, brother. How you doing tonight?
All is well, good brother. All is well. Lord's leading on, victory is sure. How about yourself, brother?
Yes, sir. Oh man, feeling good, man. Feeling good, man. This a great drawing, man. You put down tonight.
Yes, sir. What have you to say, man, about this that we presented? What's your take on it, good brother?
Man, I just, I want to ask you a question.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. You chopped up over there, good brother. Can't hear you that good. You got two apparatuses over again? So you may have to cut one of them down.
No.
Yeah, I can't even like I can't even hear your audio. It's like going in and out. Like if you talking right now, you silent over here. Rome, it ain't nothing but Rome probably playing with the brother apparatus. Gonna give our brother a minute to come back in. I'm gonna see, can I find that whatchamacallit? You know what? I got it on my page. Let me go to it. Okay, I just be coming back and forth so I can just in case our brother come back up here, I can let him on the panel. Let's see here. Okay. Let me scroll this down here. Man, I done definitely loaded up on a lot of these videos. Let's see. This one I did a couple of months ago. I'm finna share it with y'all once I get it up. Where you at? I did a powerful video, man. That demonstration there, man, it had the people tuned in on that one too. Yeah, everybody loved that one right there. Okay, I think I'm coming up on it now. Let me make sure our brother ain't trying to check in. No, I don't see him there yet. He probably booted Had to reboot. I know y'all done seen me get kicked off my own demonstration over here. Okay. Not that one there, not that one there. Not that one there. Okay, I'm getting close to it. Yeah, I'm getting real close to it now. Man, I didn't know I had this many videos up here. Goodness gracious. Okay, let's see. Not that one, not that one. Let me see. Okay, he still ain't came up yet. Yeah, that's a lot of. Yeah, I got a couple of videos up here. Ooh-wee. I didn't know I had that many. Let's see. Okay, here it go right here. Okay, now I'm gonna share it. Okay, I see our brother still ain't came in here yet. So let me share this real quick. I had did this video. Y'all should go and check it out on your own time. I just show an excerpt from it. Go through the clips of it. Just give me a second here. And I went over pretty much every you know, all of you know the statements that were made by our beloved brother. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Because people be trying to talk about the elder, Dr. John Henry Clarke, you know, was pushing blackness. Listen to what he say now. Listen to what the elder say. So he just told you black tell you how you look, but it don't tell you who you are. This Dr. John Henry Clarke, he just went over Negro, black, and color. Now one of them there. So that lets you know that he was familiar with us not being NBCs as well. So if anybody ever try to bring that junk to you and tell y'all that the elder was standing for that foolishness, y'all already know. You seen it here first. Watch this now. Watch this. This is what I don't understand. All the greats done said something good pertaining to who we are. Hold up, I'm gonna go further because I actually got some more measures up here. You can see up there on the screen. Hold up. You can see up there on the screen. I was showing up here where Noble Drew Ali asked the question, "What shall we call it?" So often our various journalists find trouble in selecting the proper name for the Moorish American. Some say Negro. Others will brand him race man. Still another would call him Afro-American, black, colored, etc. Is it that these people have no proper name? Did they have a national name when first brought to these shores in the early part of the 17th century? If so, what was it? Did not the land from whence they were forced have a name? This is what Prophet Noble Drew Ali asked. Same thing that our brother Dr. Clark said, so we can say Dr. Clark and Noble Drew Ali agreed. We ain't no Negro, black, and colored people. We can also include our chairman in there, because he done ran it down. He done beat that NBC concept to death. You know what I mean? So we got 3 of them on our side, y'all. They don't agree with, this NBC thing. The Prophet, Dr. Clark, and the chairman, they all agree with each other about this NBC. Who gonna check it? Who gonna go against that and not look crazy? Huh? Oh, y'all couldn't hear it? I'm glad I seen that there too. Let me go back. I'm sharing the whole thing. Now, hey, family, I'm actually sharing the whole thing too this time. That's crazy. I'm sharing the sound and everything. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop this, and I'm going to click on sound again, and I'm going to present it, because I was sharing sound on my entire screen. And it's there. So I'm going to just select the tab this time. It's selected to share audio. Let me know if y'all hear this, family. Hold up. Oh, this is what Prophet Noble Drew Ali asked. Y'all heard me say what I just said? Okay. I'm going to hit it again. Let me know if y'all hear sound. And he asked this question for a reason. You see? Now let us go back again. And I want you to hear our brother. Hear the elder again in the lights of what Noble Drew Ali just stated.
Some things in Portuguese or Spanish took an adjective and made a noun out of it. Color is not a nationality. Black tells you how you look, but it don't tell you who you are. Right. The name of a people must relate them instantaneously to land, history, and culture.
Did you hear? He said the name of a people should link them instantaneously to land, history, and culture. In other words, he telling you that the word black, it does not link our people instantaneously to land, history, and culture. Did y'all hear him say that, family? Yeah, okay. That's our brother, Dr. Clark. He said land, when you're dealing with a name, it should link you to your land, your history, and your culture. So if he telling you that, you cannot link our people to no black culture. This is John Henry Clark. This is Dr. Clark. This the elder now. So his opinion don't matter now, do it. They'll just overlook this, but say they honor the elder. See? Make it make sense, people. Watch this. Watch this. Did you hear what he said? The name of a people must link them instantaneously to land, history, and culture. Okay, hold up. Give me 1 second here, because that's just repeating what I was saying. Yeah, we've been beating on this horse for a minute. We went here. That's why it says the Moors and nationality according to the opinion of our greats. And y'all done seen me quote this before. You can see him standing here, posted up with his hand on the book. If you notice, you see Abraham Lincoln demonstrating the same thing. Abraham Lincoln was very aware of who the Moors are. This is what he said. And this was when he was representing someone as a lawyer before he became, the president. And he was speaking to the judge. He said, my client is not a Negro. Though it is a crime to be a Negro, no crime to be born with a black skin. But my client is not a Negro. His skin may not be as white as ours, but I say he is not a Negro, though he may be a Moor. Mr. Lincoln interrupted Judge Davis, scarcely able to restrain a smile. You mean a Moor? You see, and you see the difference in the spelling of the name. Not more, right? This is what he said. You mean a Moor, not more. M-O-R-E, right? He said, well, Your Honor, more and not C-H more, replied Mr. Lincoln. So it was making a clarity that his client was not a Negro, but he was a Moor. Why was it important for Abraham Lincoln to point this out? And say basically Negroes get treated a certain type of way. It's a crime for them to be who they are, but it ain't a crime, for that Moor to be who they are, basically. So Mr. Lincoln, with the sweep of his long arm toward the table, were Moor, and I sat. I say my client may be a Moor, but he is not a Negro. You see? So this is telling you, this is also case law. Anybody that know anything about law and study law, anytime law is established by means of cases that are being demonstrated, that becomes law that is historically referred to, and it strengthens other cases that come behind it. So if someone is able to be successful as a result of, that case law, then it can be used to support, remedy for someone, right? So basically, now here's another step. Basically, family, we can't get around it. We got to use this hammer of repetition in this area, because if Abraham Lincoln was trying to defend his client by telling the judge, it may be a crime to be a Negro, but my client ain't no Negro, he a Moor. You understand? This is Abraham Lincoln when he was a lawyer using this defense, and this is public record. All you got to do is go look it up. This ain't nothing made up, family. Go look it up. And you find numerous cases where people was going before the courts, the slaves, and they were saying they was Moors. You understand? And they was freed. A lot of them was freed based on that premise, so to speak. So we got more evidence. We got John Henry Clark telling us we ain't Negro like our color. He telling us our name got to attach us to the land, culture, and the history. We got the prophet Noble Drew Ali asking, what should we call him? He say, do these people not have a name? Didn't they have a name when they were brought over here? Then now we got Abraham Lincoln over here defending them more. But let's see what one of the most popular European Western Freemasons got to say. Check this out. For those of you who've seen this for the first time, statement. And this statement is extracted from an Odd Fellows meeting. And this was actually during the time when the country was just being given foundation over here. Now, if you notice in these pictures here, and I would tell you, you notice this is actually in the Grand Lodge of England, in the ceiling, like in Kemet, how they have hieroglyphics and everything. Notice the flag that they have here with the 5-pointed open green star on it, right? You see Abraham. Now look on the casket here. We see a cassia tree, indigenous to Africa. Some people call it sycamore or whatever you want to call it. But nevertheless, this is actually letting you know that the one that is in the casket is of the same country that this particular tree. It ain't a tree. We can just say it's a branch coming up out of there, a little sprout. It's symbolic, right? So keep that in mind. But nevertheless, at this meeting, George Washington made this statement. Now, look up under his feet here. You see a casket beneath his feet, right? You know how it speaks in the Bible or the Piscean records, how God will make his enemy his footstool? Well, who do you think is being referred to on the dollar bill when it says "In God We Trust"? And you have the head of George Washington there. Because Masonically, God is Gomar Oz Debar, wisdom, strength, and beauty. G-O-D, Gomar, G-Oz-O Debar, right? God. You see, so in God we trust. You thought that was the great God, right? You thought that was the supreme reality, huh? Well, go figure. So nevertheless, it even is a story or a legend about George Washington chopping down the cherry tree, and you hear Moors always use this reference, which is really symbolic to the vine and fig tree, of a people. Our brother Marcus Mosai Garvey stated that a people without a nationality is like a tree without roots. Well, what if someone hacked away your roots? What if someone cut away your roots? You see, keep that in mind. But I'm going to read on. This is one of the first meetings, it is said. The Odd Fellows. It was reported that George Washington summarized the raging debate on how to perpetuate slavery of the Moors, unlawfully tag black people. 1774 at the First Continental Congress here in Philadelphia with this statement. If we would agree to take the fezzes and turbans off of the Moors' heads and remove the sandals from their feet and enforce severe punishments and also swear death oath between ourselves to religiously and faithfully not allow anyone to teach the Moorish children who they really were or who their forefathers were, and only allow the Moorish children to be taught that they were truly Negroes, black people, and colored folks. 200 years from the day, the Moorish people would not know their nationality, nor the national name of their forefathers. Also, they would not know from which land or ancestors that they are descended from. Now, is this not the case of what is taking place with our people family? Is this not the reality of exactly what has taken place with our people? We are lost to the knowledge of ourselves, correct? And we would rather claim or cling to terms like our brother and Prophet Noble Drew Ali said that were created by Europeans such as whom I refer to as the father of colorism. Even the Honorable Elijah Muhammad stated that your skin color or the landmass is not your true identity. He knew that. That's why you would hear him say so-called Negro, so-called color. And he would tell you that the black man, so-called black man, is in need of resurrection because he was mentally dead. Prophet Noble Drew Ali stated that the worst form of slavery that our people suffer from is mental slavery. So all of these leaders, these greats, come into a consensus, on these things, and yet all our people can find is room to have conflict, room to demonstrate political, religious, and social gangbanging. You see? Notice the father of colorism, John Frederick Blumenbach. He was the one that originated these terms: Caucasian race, a white race, Mongolian, a yellow race, Malayan, a brown race, Ethiopian, a black race, American, a red race. All of these things came into existence under what we call scientific racism. You see? This is not stuff that we're making up. And look it up, family. Look it up. Now, this was a brother, and the date here, if you look at the bottom here, 1828, New York. This particular document, I have it, but you can pull it up yourself, dealing with the Moorish prince. Abdul Rahman. This is actually a case where one was before the council, and basically he was released based upon declaring his Moorish nationality. Prince Abdul Rahman, the Moorish prince. This is case law as well. So I've showed you primary sources in regards to dealing with this. One dealing with the 1740 Negro Act, another, dealing with Abraham Lincoln. In case law, you can find these things, George Washington, all of them mentioning the Moors. Here is another one in the case law. This is House Bill or House Resolution number 75. This is in Philadelphia. Listen to this. And this was actually dealing with a motion that would be passed. It says the resolution was read as follows. And this was, that's the House resolution where, the Europeans acknowledge the Moors. I mean, all that right there alone should be enough, to get our people on point. But, they still fighting it. They want to fight it after all that. Watch this. Let's go further. With some myth or mysticism or so, mythology, when we term, the...
And anytime you call a people by their right name, anytime you call a people, name a people, and fail to relate them back to land, history, culture, you have called them out of their name.
You heard that? He said, anytime you call the people by a name that don't link them to their culture, you have called them out of their name. This brother ain't just saying this and keeping it moving. He harping on this. He wants you to know that when you being called these other names, this Negro, this black, this color, you being called out of your name. That's called a misnomer. But these guys don't know this. They up here think they teaching blackness. They teaching blackness. You understand? But they have no idea what nationality is. Next time you hear them talking like that, ask them what their nationality is. Watch they say, I'm a U.S. citizen. I'm a U.S. citizen. You is too. But you Pan-African though, huh? You follow Dr. Ben. You follow Dr. John Henry Clark, huh? Come on, man.
There's no black man or black holder. There's nothing wrong with the word black. Nothing wrong with it at all. Only it doesn't relate to a country. The name of every people in the world relate to country. And once you think instantaneously of man, you think of nationality. You belong to something big in the world.
So you heard it. When you think of that name in that land, you think of nationality. Yes, sir. We give honors to that elder. May he rise in power. Let's see.
Easy. Then later, he would send 60,000. He'd take Spain. Now, this is purely an African conquest. You're not dealing with the Arab conquest of Spain at first because the Arabs were not there at first.
Now, so for the ones that been talking about they follow this brother, and he telling you that this was an African conquest when the Moors went off in there. The Arabs wasn't even there at the time. How can these videos get past these cats, man? They cherry pickers. Listen to them. Watch it. That's very important. Now, if you look through my, hold up. The Arabs were dealing with the Orthodox, and the Moors were dealing with the messenger that was appointed of Zionism. He said, who gonna be able to say on out of the mountain? He said it. I'm trying to get over here. Okay.
Moved over and conquered Spain. Madame Bagiba had written a book on it that bears the name Tareq Ben Zayed. The Rock of Gibraltar is named after him. It's the hill or the mountain of Tareq. Gibraltar is a corruption of his name, Jabral. And she describes the army going into Spain. She says the army was black as ink. The general was blacker still. Meaning the general was the only one riding a white horse. So his blackness against that whiteness looked blacker than the rest of them. But the horse was better dressed.
Y'all always see them Shriners running around in there talking about, don't you want to ride that white horse? You see what I'm saying? They dangling it right there in front of you, and people ain't even getting it. You know what I mean? Even though they having fun with it in their little fun house. Don't you want to ride the white horse? Who was on that horse? Tareq Ibn Zayed or more? Huh?
Less than the kings of Europe with silk and brocade.
Islamic armies, their ranks dominated by African converts, defeat the Romans and push on to the continent of Europe. In the process, they capture Spain. There, the Africans and Arabs create a rich, cultured, and powerful empire. So powerful, it endures for 500 years.
The achievement of the Arabs at this time is they have driven the Europeans out of the Mediterranean. The European now must go back into Europe. They have no empires, no great connections outside of Europe. And because of this, they ultimately would go into a period called the Dark Ages. Militarily, the Africans took over Spain, and
now it's important that we talk to you about these Dark Ages, family. Because for those who don't know about the Dark Ages, it was us who brought them out of the Dark Ages. You see, it was the Moors who brought them out of the Dark Ages. This ain't no secret now. I'm going to show you something right here, and I should be able to pull it up. Okay. Didn't mean to do that. Let me make sure that I didn't close one of my main links up as well. Okay, yeah, that's okay. Okay, so basically, let me show you something here. Oh yeah, y'all got to see this link right here that I'm looking for. I should be able to find it under this right here. This is stuff that a lot of you are already familiar with, but it's always good to hear it from the horse's mouth as well. You know what I mean? It's always good to hear from the horse's mouth. So just give me a second real quick. And I know I should be able to pull that video up through here. Yeah, so yeah, you know, I mean, my whole goal is to show you exactly who a people is. And then once we give you this history, it's on you as to what you do with the history. You know, it's not history to convince you to become, you know, a Moor, and you know, that ain't what we're doing. We're just giving you the history, you know, and telling you what it is so you can have this history. And then once you have this history, you know, you can basically, yeah, you can basically get this history and then better bring your people into some understanding to know where we were. Because for some reason we were able to rule, you know, that we were able to rule basically for a long time, family. 700 years. You know how long that is to be able to rule 700 years? And we didn't just do that there. Also in Kemet, it was the Libyans, whom the Moors are also descendants of, that they also were those who ruled as well in that same area for the same length of time. So we have to ask ourselves, what made us so powerful to be able to rule as we did? You see, what gave us the... Let me see. Is it this one right here? Yep, there you go, right there. This is the video right here.
I told one day. Why? Because when white people came to Africa, they came showing themselves as superior to the black people, digging out things that black people taught them. You know, what we don't have in our history books is that the civilization we have in Europe today was brought to us by black people. Even black people don't know that. Even many black people don't know that. They don't know that the Moors, they were West Africans and North Africans and Central Africans that came to Europe and ruled Spain. They brought civilization to us. They showed us how to use soap, how to be clean, how to behave like a decent human being, you know? All these things we didn't know that before the Moors brought civilization to Spain. Did you know that the Moors ruled in Spain for 700 years? Where is that in our history books? It's nowhere to be found. Because why? If you are giving black people that power of having once ruled over white people, wouldn't black people start like kind of questioning, oh, we were once at that point of having such a power in a white man's country over white people. And where are we now? So of course they have to hide that history from you people, because knowing your true history is knowing your true power. And knowing your true power means you will break out from that system of racism as much as you can, because you can't. If white people will not stop racism, black people cannot stop being victims of racism. Okay. That sounds like I'm victimizing a black person, which I don't. The fact is, okay, I've said that before, I've used that example before, but I think it's just the perfect, it sums everything up. Okay, when you see a child that was sexually molested, well, it mustn't even be a sexual molestation. If it was molested, would you walk up to that child and tell the child to stop whining about their molestation, stop crying about what happened to them and move on, because after all, it was 5 years ago, your molester, is he not in prison? Can't you stop pulling the molester card and blah, blah, blah? Nobody would do that. No person that has senses would tell a child that was abused or molested to move on, or to even go out and fight against what happened to them. No, you will not do that. What you will do is you expect authorities to step up for that child and get justice on that child's behavior. But when it comes to racism, we be all in our feelings like, oh, but I'm not racist. I never owned slaves. My neighbor's cousin is black. I can't be racist. But it is not like that. I've seen white women raising black children, having black husbands, you know, and they are still racist. So you mingling with all the black people in the world is not going to make you less racist. That is just the point. That's because in the society, we were not raised to understand what racism really is.
Yeah. And she goes on. Yeah. So y'all seen it. This is from a woman over there. You know, Europe. She gave it to you uncut. Told her she was grateful. The Moors taught us how to bathe. They taught us how to wash ourselves with soap. You know, she say they don't want to tell you your true history, because when you know your true history, that's your true power. Come on, man. She just gave a whole demonstration right there, family. She ain't the only one. All this stuff here, all that stuff I done put up there with George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and they still a fight for the word black. You understand? Hold up, I'm gonna drop this again. And yeah, let me blow this up too for y'all and put it up there larger. I mean, you could hear the audio, but I'll put it up there larger so y'all can see. So you got Dr. John Henry Clarke and everybody. You know, come on, man. Watch this.
While the Arabs did come in, but the military hold on Spain was African. Now let's look at the Africans and the Arabs, that combination called Moors in Spain. What did they do? For a while in history, there was only two great universities. The University of Saint-Coré at Timbuktu and the University of Salamanca in Spain. And the African was solely in charge of the one at Saint-Coré and partly in charge of the one at Salamanca. They built public schools. They built public baths. They gave Spain the greatest civilization it has known before or since. They built a great university, Salamanca. They translated the great works of the masters of Europe, including a lot of works they had stolen from Africa. Europe had forgotten its own masters. The Africans translated. But their performance and the partnership between the Africans and the Arabs and the Berbers in Spain was a long and beneficial partnership and a fine moment in their history and in world history. The African and the Arab and Islam had united and held Europe at bay for almost 1,000 years.
It's showtime.
Now you hear that, right? You hear what the elders say. He ain't talking all that negativity that you hear these so-called students of the brothers spewing. So we're going to have to start running these individuals out of the conscious community that's out here trying to use our elders as a fig leaf, selectively researching what they want to take from the brothers to try to divide our people. These are agents and agent provocateurs. And I told them that's what I think they are. So I'm not saying this behind their back. I say it to their face. You know, so my thing is, if you don't want to see our people one and you want to see our people in a state of tribalism, you the part of the problem. We had enough religious, political, social, you know, and all type of gang banging going on among our people. It's time for unity. That's why Noble Drew Ali himself was talking about the uniting of what he referred to as the Asiatic states, Asiatic nation. You see, I showed you that particular word. And even when regards to dealing with the word Asiatic, it go way beyond what the Europeans demonstrated as. We got proof in regards to dealing with that too. You see, so they need to stop playing. Our people got to stop playing and come together, you know, in oneness. I'm going to let medic teaching too. You see what I'm saying? I mean, we can go on and on with the Moors.
And the
It's an email.
Yeah. Over the past week, what is it, 8 days ago?
He went. Yeah, this the brother talking about Dr. Ben, how he converted to Islam. You know, that's another thing. So how can you be a student of these men and be in so much opposition when they spoke so highly? You know, even Dr. Clarke, he said, you know, if he was put against the wall, he had to choose between Islam and Christianity. He would choose Islam. But Dr. Ben actually took his shahada, bro. So, like, come on. Like, I mean, this is like, it's like hard against some things in Islam.
Dr. Ben Yohanan. The angel of Allah sent the angel of death for him. When I heard that he had finally passed, and I couldn't help it, you know, I said to myself, Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, Allah is surely the transformer. because those of us who knew Dr. Ben and have been listening to Dr. Ben over the decades, nobody used to talk worse about us than Dr. Ben. He had, for all of his brilliance as a historian, he used to talk bad about Islam and bad about Muslims. We were misguided, we were this, we were that, and, Bilal should have been, and all this kind of stuff. You know what he wrote and what he teach. Then one day, several years ago, we were right up at Riverbank State Park for one of the joint Eid al-Adha prayers. Us, Masjid Malcolm Shafar, Masjid Sabur, I think at that time, the three of us. So we finished the salah, we finished the khutbah, we finished the salah. Somebody comes over to me and says, Imam Talib, Dr. Ben is here. He's over in the back there. He was here for the khutbah, and he was here during the salah. I said, Dr. Ben, oh, I know you're not talking about Dr. Ben. I said, yeah, no, he's right over there. So I went over to him. Sure enough, there he was. He was in a wheelchair by then. Well, clear-minded. So I went over and he was standing with, I think it's a nephew of his who I know. So I went over to him, greeted him, Alaikum Dr. Alaikum Salam, he said. I bent down like this and looked him right in his face like this. And I said, Dr. Ben, brothers tell me that you taking Shahada. He said, yes. I said, brothers tell me you're Muslim now. He said, yes. See, I'm not going by what anybody told me. I'm talking to him face to face like this here. So then we talked for a few minutes. I said to myself, got it. So when he passed last week, and then, so then one day I looked, he's here at Juma. Sat right in the back, right there. I remember. And I would imagine, by that time he was really getting elderly, he was really slowing down, and unfortunately we don't have an elevator. So I would imagine these stairs were very hard on him. So he started going to Juma on a regular basis at Harlem Hospital. Every week, while he still had the health, he's right there praying, Eid time, he lined up just like everybody else, etc. What a transformation. Now, in terms of what he knew and what he didn't know, and how much of the Sunnah meant, I don't know any of that. But I do know that he declared, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, and that entitles him to Salatul Janazah, and that entitles him to Allah fulfilling his promise that he has made to all believers, and that's all we need to be concerned about. Oh, you who worship Allah, when the angel of death comes for you and me.
So you heard the brother say he talked to Dr. Ben face to face and say he was going to Juma the rest of his days. So, I don't know about nobody else, but these are two heavy hitters. But through all in all, them brothers had respect for Islam, man. You know what I mean? So where do these dudes get off demonizing what they claim the master teachers, actually embraced? You see what I'm saying? All the elders speak highly of the Moors. Brother Kaba Kameni, y'all need to get that brother book too. The Shabaka Stone. But brother Professor Small say his family was a part of the MST of A. And he said he viewed Prophet Noble Drew Ali as a prophet. You understand? These are the elders that's right here in the community that everybody look up to. But don't nobody want to honor what they say. Even the brother Muata Ashby, he wrote things in some of his works about Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Even the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told the NOI in the earlier speeches that he taught to respect that man. Honor him. He held him up. You know what I mean? Him and Marcus Garvey. He told them that they supposed to look toward them brother with respect. Here go another good brother right here. Brother Renoka Rashidi.
And I knew it was in there, and I was determined, like Sherlock Holmes with a magnifying glass, not to leave that museum until I found it, and I was very fortunate. A black man in Syria 2,000 years ago, not a slave now, and we're going to talk about slavery a little more in a moment. This is Antar, or Antar the Lion, considered a dashing knight, a poet, an epic figure, and this is taken in the Medina in Damascus, Syria as well. I've been very blessed. I count my blessings every day. And the thing that gives me the most pleasure is to go to these parts of the world quite often by myself without having done a whole lot of advanced planning and do some research and find these pieces. These are very rare photographs. And this is the tomb of Bilal. Idris on the first day, Idris took us to the Hassan II Mosque, right, in Casablanca. And he talked about the minaret, this magnificent building with the minaret where the muezzin would go and call the faithful to prayer. Where the first caller to prayer, the first muezzin, is a black man from Ethiopia named Bilal. And again, B-I-L-A-L, Bilal. And he's a close companion to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And I was able to find his tomb. And this is it. He's buried right there. And not only does he have a...
So he talking about the tomb of Bilal. So if Bilal exists, Prophet Muhammad had to exist, because Bilal was the one through who was able to pass the teachings into Africa. Him and Zaid. Bilal and Zaid were the first people. Islam, they took it into Kush, Ethiopia, family. This is Bilal's tomb. Our brother Renoka Rashidi traveled around the world, and he gonna show you Ishmael in stone, bro. Come on now.
A tomb in Damascus, but you have this mosque with a different kind of minaret. And the muezzin, correct me if I'm wrong, brother, will climb up there and call the faithful to prayer. You may have heard that in Morocco or something. It's a very beautiful sound. Anyway, all these are from Syria. And this supposedly is a South Arabian temple guard. Now, this was given to me, this photograph, by a buddy of mine named Wayne Chandler, who you may know. And Wayne has a chapter in this wonderful book, The Golden Age of the Moor. But Wayne is not an art historian. He calls himself an anthrophotojournalist. And sometimes I have to go back and verify what Wayne said. Because sometimes, don't tell him this. Well, you can tell him, he'll laugh. He's good natured. He kind of plays a little loose with some of the facts, and I'm trying not to do that. Now, when Hassan and I were here in April at the Alhambra, we went in a bookstore, which you passed by when you went in the circular building, and there's a book I paid, I think, 50 euros for, and it has this exact painting. And actually, he's referred to as a Nubian temple guard, and this is a painting done by a fellow named Ludwig Deutsch in the 1890s. But this is a magnificent piece, is it not? Beautiful piece of art. And what I'm showing you is not only elements of African history, but beautiful art that we should be able to appreciate on its own merit. A temple guard. Yeah, it's just a painting. It's not an actual portrait. It's not a historical piece.
You can also go and check this lecture out as well, because it's pretty long. But I just wanted to show you our brother Renoka Rashidi, giving his particular drawing as well. You know what I mean? You can look at our brother Kaaba, but this is one of the classic measures. You know what I mean? I love to hear, listen to our elder.
To myself.
Listen to our elder call it.
I believe will sustain me, and that which will help to purify me, and have begun to push back and ignore that which I had fallen back down to. More and more, I am being guided to study more. If you are not grounded properly, if you are not grounded properly, then you are not going to pick up the correct vibrations from the universe and the cosmos. More and more, I am being guided to study more. Or if we are trying to lift our brother or sister up, the way we do it is just as important as what we say. How we approach them is just as important. Huh? More and more, I am being guided to study more. I have found since my days with the Nation of Islam and no longer being in the mosque, that I now draw from all of our spiritual expressions. And that I now have come to, as many of you have heard me say many times, while I was Supreme Captain or National Spokesman or whatever in the Nation of Islam, that if it were not for Africa, if it were not for the original black man and black woman, there would be no Islam, no Christianity, no Judaism. None of the world's major religions, as Dr. Yosef Ben Yaakov, Dr. John Henry Clark, and others have taught us, would be in existence if there were no original black man and woman and no Africa. Africa, as it is called now. More and more, I am being guided to study more. And I hope that the ancestors will guide me to touch on this Africa thing, to touch on Asiatic. Oh, they say, oh, you got to know what you're doing, boy. You know, it's a whole lot of us in here. I understand more. I'm a more. I understand that nationality is the order of the games. I understand. More and more, I am being guided to study more. I can't say that I love you, that I care for you, that you are my sister, you are my brother, taking the prefix BR off and leaving other, that you are my other self. And I do not act morally and righteously toward you. I cannot do it. I make myself alive. More and more, I am being guided to study more. Muslim. You a Muslim, Khalid? Yes, I am. But I'm a Moor. Islam. I'm a Moor. You got sense enough to know I'm a Moor. And ain't gonna never argue with you that I'm not a Moor. And wouldn't come in your house or come among you and say I'm a Moor if I didn't feel in my heart, in my mind, in my soul that I am. I would tell you, God damn it, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. No more. So if I say it, I mean it. If I mean it, generally, I say it. You're a Muslim? Yes. But I know my roots. And I ain't Kunta Kinte.
You heard that, brother. He said it's strong. All these people out here that talking about they following Dr. Khalid, but they went, he gave them the alley hoop. He said, I'm a Muslim, but I'm a Moor. And got sense enough to know I'm a Moor. But see, people don't know the backstory. You know, our brother Raheem Shamari that be in here, when y'all see him, give honors to that elder because he gave me the backstory. You know, his imam was present when they found that charter to Temple Number 4 in Detroit in honor of Elijah Muhammad possessions. This is very important, people, that you understand this, because this proves his connection to that MST of A in Detroit. That was in Black Bottom, as they called it. But it was a discussion from what our brother Raheem was telling me. He was saying that him and brother John Muhammad, those two brothers came together, you know, after finding that charter, and they was like, we're going to go back and start teaching the Moorish Science Temple teachings. Unfortunately, our brother Khalid passed for him before he could get deeper, but he told you, I'm a Muslim, but I'm a Moor, and I know my roots. And I wouldn't say that I was a Moor if I didn't believe it. You understand? He said it firm, family. And we give honors to him because at least he was one that came all the way out. He said nationality is the order of the day. So what are we doing? Come on, man. These are all your greats. They be cherry picking. Every one of these elders have spoken greatly of Islam and the Moors. So where's all this Moor hatred coming from, family? Why is it important that somebody teach you to hate the Moors? Ask that question. So our brother, you know, come on, man. Like, you know, and then, you know, I went into showing the, you know, actual book right there. We're going to let you see what our brother Tupac had to say. This is a very rare interview. Listen to it. When he went there, he remembered what his name was. Okay, you see? So that's a whole nother measure right there, family. In and of itself. That's a whole nother. Trying to pull it. How'd you tell you that he attended these belongings? They found. How'd you tell you that he attended these meetings?
More. You know, I know who built this.
When he went there, he remembered. It's our brother Pop. What I want to get to now, I want to go to our brother. Let me see. I want to go to our brother Pop, actually. What is that thing? Here we go, right. Yeah, there we go, right there. This is our brother Pop right here in a rare interview. And they asked him a question. Here we go. We're going to play it real quick. Listen to what Pop said.
Therefore, how could you not love being black? How could you not want to build more? You know, I know if we built this country, we can build ourselves back up. You know,
that's Tupac talking about being a Moor, right?
So if we really built the pyramids, it should be no problem to rebuild our brains. You know what I'm saying? If we really had women like Cleopatra, it should be no problem unlocking those Cleopatras in the modern day around the way girls. You know?
So our brother spoke of the Moors, right? And I'm going to tell you how we know that this ain't no fluke. He made that statement. That's all good and well. But his last outlaw, I want to give honors to Vlad TV for this interview as well. This is content. But listen to what he asked him about his name.
You know, well, you didn't have a name like everyone else.
Alias, nah.
Yeah, everyone had like a leader name, you know, like a leader that was an anti-U.S. leader name,
Right,
you know,
right.
Idi Amin, Gaddafi, Napoleon, no doubt. But Napoleon wasn't anti-U.S. But I'm saying, you know, had a name of a great leader. How come you didn't have one of those names?
Well, you know, I came to the table with Noble, and, you know, that was the perfect name. He was trying to give me Noble Drew Ali. He wanted me to run with that, but it never really stuck with me.
Okay.
But he used to call me the other alias he used to call me was Marbles. Like, yeah, just like Daddy, he'd be like, Marbles.
So here we have young Noble saying Tupac wanted to name him out of all names, Noble Drew Ali. And he said, if you go on in the interview, he said because he said he completed the group. He was the 7th member. Now, you know we call Noble Drew Ali the 7th of the time. You see what I'm saying? So Pop was most definitely knowledgeable of who the Moors was. We don't, you know, we showed you what he said about the Moors, but he was gonna name his last and final member of the Outlaws, Noble Drew Ali, bro. Everybody else he named Gaddafi, Hussein Fatal, all these types of things. So we know Noble was somebody Pop met right before he was finna get ready to transition, so to speak. And on his mind, he had Prophet Noble Drew Ali. He wanted the people, all the names he gave to the Outlaws for a reason. Why is it that he named that last outlaw Noble Drew Ali? That's just something to think on. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, that's a powerful demonstration in and of itself, family. You know, so these are things that are most definitely noteworthy of paying attention to. You know, and like I said, I try to tell these brothers the true history of who the Moors is, but you got brothers that want to, you know, they just want to go in opposition for the sake of being in opposition. And I understand. You know, some of our people look for a worthy foe. So, you know, I've showed the people, you know, tracing the word back through its root and everything. You know, the M and R, I'm talking about through various names and languages and so forth and so on. Yeah, so a lot of y'all have seen me go through that, so I ain't got to be redundant. But you know, this is all of our people right here, family. You know what I mean? These are all the people that we respect in our community. And hands down, if we were dealing with a unanimous decision with comparative with what's being said right here, you know, on how they feel about us being Moors, them brothers wouldn't have had no problem sitting down together and being a part and parcel of building a Moorish American government. How we know? Because even our brother Dr. Clark, you know, he spoke, he said Islam is a force to be reckoned with. You know, but he said that in order for it to be successful, it's going to take a group of brothers, African, coming from us, who will bring the teachings in a greater light. You know, and then we'll be able to uplift, you know, our people again, and Islam will be great as it was in the beginning. That's what Brother Dr. Clark was saying. You know what I mean? That's right here in the Moorish American government, family. You know, our people don't get it, man. They don't get it. We are not some ragtag group of individuals that's out here just trying to start an organization. We building government, something that ain't never been done. And we inviting all of our people to bring their expertise. And if you don't know, if you're not an expert, then you can come and learn. But we look for our people to come forth with their talents. We ain't here to browbeat you over the head with religion, because we honor all books of truth. That's why when people see me on, you know, our brother Sarnetta platform in the past, they like, well, what do you believe, Commission? And they fail to realize our teaching teach us to honor all teachings, you know, that are good. We deal with all the teachings that deal with bringing our people together. So that's why I'm universal. And prior to me coming into the Moorish paradigm, that was my vibration. I was universal before I embraced being Moor. So when I came into my Moorish foundation, I was already prepped. I was already ready. Because that little small Circle 7 pamphlet, the little book, that small book of 7 seals, as small as it is, it touches bases with every universal way of life that everybody stand on and claim to believe in. From Kemet all the way back to, you know, the original teachings of Yehoshua, all the way into the teachings of Confucius, Muhammad, Buddha, and Krishna. We got all that up in our Moorish Holy Quran. See what I'm saying? It don't get no more universal than that. And we giving you all of these truths and showing it to you, proving it to you. These other people ain't been able to do that. I remember a good brother, one of my master teachers. I want to give honor to the youngest of my master teachers. You know, may he rise in power. I remember he used to always stress that it ain't about quantity, it's about quality. And he was speaking on, you have people that draw off numbers, you know, and they think that their manhood come from the numbers that they amass. Prophet Noble Drew Ali said in unity there's strength. But the brother was emphasizing when you learn how to stand alone, unwavered, irregardless of what anybody think, you know, this is when you demonstrating standing on business. You know, that's what the brother said, though. He used to say it ain't about quantity, it's about quality. You know, so I just want to say that right there. And it is what it is. We ain't gonna hold you up no longer. I see our brother wasn't able to come back. You know, so I just want to give honors to all of y'all who give the listening ear. We're gonna keep bringing these messages to the manifest, family. You know, the consensus of our greats, the ones that really matter to us, though, you know, all of them pretty much on the same page. it's our people, you know, and I can't even really call them our people. You know, it's other individuals out here, family, that's out here demonstrating, dividing our people to conquer our people. You see? And they ain't got nothing to give you in return other than that rhetoric that they demonstrate. They tell you this ain't this and that ain't that, but ask them what they have built. What is it that they have done for the community? Ask them how many people that they have actually raised from the dead, the mental dead, you know, with that teaching that they talking about. And then that's how you can separate the wheat from the chaff. Ask them, show me your works. Since you going and running your beak, you want to talk about, you know, what the ancestors ain't did and what they did or whatever the case may be. Show me your works. What are you doing with the information you have, or what have you done with the information you have to where it has become a catalyst for a paradigm shift? Other than that, you just bumping your gums, you know. So we just say gratitude, family. We ain't gonna hold you no longer, you know. But all I can say is it's all love, family. It's all love, and keep the love out front. You know, we got to come up out of this mental slavery, because it's definitely in high definition, and it has definitely been embedded in the hard drive or the memory of our people. So that being said, family, you know, it's been grand. It's been great. We ain't gonna hold you, you know, and this is the end of our late night library session. You know, I want to give honors to our family before we go out, as we all do. You know, we got to do our roll call. I want to give honors to our beloved brother Born Dog, good brother, Noble Brian, C-Mac, creator of the Violence Universe, Caleb Campbell showing up. You know, even those who have looked and we don't know that they there, we want to give honors to you. Be sure to hit that like, share, and subscribe. Share this video. You know, brother Ronnie Dwight, brother Marquise L., honors to you, our beloved goddess and queen. Hanging in there, sister Diane Carter Bay, Dendra Nia Curta Bay, Islam goddess and queen. Our family Ian Bay. You know, I don't know if that's our brother Arnil Bay or not, but you know, Ian Bay, if you knew, all is well, family. And if that's Arnil Bay, Islam to you, grand man. You know, it's all love. Want to give honor to our good brother Thad. You know, Thad as well, Thad D. And Chad that tried to check in earlier. You know, so yeah, it's love, family. It's love. So we're gonna shut it down. Peace and love. Islam.